Emma Vigeland of TYT went to another Trump rally, and she spoke to some of his supporters here about the issue of Medicare for all. And the results, I think, are fascinating.
I'm here in Johnson City, Tennessee. We are near the Appalachia Mountains. It's an area that has a lot of poverty, a lot of health issues, and Donald Trump is holding a rally here. So I wanted to talk to some people about Medicare for All, a proposal that I believe could benefit some people in the area. We'll see what they have to say about it.
I think Medicare for All, the part that I don't like about the Medicare is the Obama that he put the plate on us. If we don't supply our 22-year-old kid with insurance, at the end of the year we were having to pay $1,200, $1,500, $1,500.
Keep the price down. There's some senators that have an excellent plan whereby the doctors keep the prices of everything, prescription and everything, down, and they're not allowed to raise them up to the sky. Well, then it's affordable for everybody. And you can go across state lines, my goodness.
So you think private insurance is the way to go?
Absolutely. This Obamacare is a piece of a work of the devil.
But Medicare for All goes beyond Obamacare, right? So it allows for a government option in addition.
Yeah, the federal government needs to stay out of everything, all that stuff.
So what do you think of the proposal for Medicare for All?
Honestly, for all Americans. For illegals, no. I don't think. How can I?
About tax-paying Americans.
Yeah, taxpayers. That's exactly right. We're taxpayers. The taxpayers shouldn't be liable for all the illegals. I mean,
so Medicare for All would be expanding it beyond the age for the retired and the elderly. It would be so everyone could have access to affordable health care.
I think that'd be a good idea. I really do. I think that'd be great for all because, like me, I'm 62. I've got diabetes. I've got black lung. I'm in bad shape. I almost went out a minute ago, and I don't have health care because I can't afford it. I can't afford the deductible right now. I mean, $2,400 deductible before anything comes out. I can't afford it.
I think some people, like you're handicapped, you're disabled, they're the ones that are mentally challenged, go through them, weed them out. You've got some that can go to any doctor and say, oh, they're ADHD, they're this, that. We're giving them Medicaid. Test them. You got people that going to college that doing nothing but getting paid to go to college, that you're getting Medicaid.
So Medicare for All would be everyone would pay like the way you've paid into Medicare your entire life. Exactly. Everyone would. So you're kind of more in support of that.
Yes.
And I don't believe Medicare for all. I've paid for Medicare. I have Social Security, and I paid for Social Security. There is Medicaid, and Medicaid is something that we provide for people that can't provide it for themselves. So I'm not in favor of taking Medicare and hijacking it for something that's not intended for.
So it would be expanding it, right, so that everyone can have access. Are you happy with your Medicare?
I don't know. They're going to pay for their Medicare. When they get to the proper age, they'll apply for it like I have. And just like I have, I'm paying over $400 or $500 a month for my wife to have Medicare, plus what I paid in the past.
I voted for Trump, and I changed my mind for many, many reasons. Health care for all. Actually, I had Obamacare for 2 years. It was the best thing I ever had. He is destroying the health system. That man is evil, and people don't realize it. But we're growing, we're getting stronger, and we're gonna overcome him. I just know we are.
That was very interesting. So this immediately reminded me of a tweet from Matt Taibbi from last week, where he basically said there was an opportunity Trump had, because Trump has this very cult-like support among his base. And if Trump did anything unorthodox that was not part of the standard, Republican orthodoxy playbook, and it's not like, the establishment right-wing policies. If Trump did any policies that were actually left-wing, that base was not going to leave him. That base was not going to leave him. They were going to stay right there and cheer him on every step of the way. So what that means is if Trump actually did, like, okay, he did the new now NAFTA 2.0. He did. Well, the provisions in that deal are pretty shitty because they're very similar to the old NAFTA. But he had an opportunity where if he actually ripped up NAFTA and did a very pro-worker agreement, his base would have been like, yeah. And then, you know what? People like me would have been like, yeah. Because I don't give a shit about your party affiliation. I don't give a shit about, you know, the fact that you're Donald Trump. If you do the right policies, I'm going to support it. That's it. That's as far as it goes. And so you'd get some left-wing support, and you'd get your base to stay there if you did something like that. So if Trump really did Medicare for all, because he even spoke about it 5 or 6 times previously, including once on the campaign trail saying he wanted to cover everybody with healthcare. If he really did that, the base is not leaving. So he could have, in an FDR-type way, kind of built this very bizarre coalition of people who follow him like he's a cult leader, and then people who actually believe in left-wing policies. He could have done it. He could have done it, and there would have been tremendous pressure on the establishment in the Republican and the Democratic Party to do the right thing, or they just lose their career. So you're going to get the Democratic base if you do Medicare for all, even though you're a Republican president, and you're going to get the hardcore, Trump supporters, so the Republican base as well, they're going to be in favor of it. So all the pressure's on the establishment to do the right thing or else, or they lose their careers. He really had an opportunity to do an FDR-style, real anti-establishment, let's fuck up the whole system and shake it all up and do the right thing here. He had that ability. Every single one of those people in that video, there's only one who was like strong against it, and the others were like kind of mixed on it. I have no doubt that all of them except maybe one of them would have supported Medicare for all if Trump kept talking about Medicare for all and he pushed for Medicare for all. So that says a lot. Now let's go through more specifically what they said here. The first lady was like, well, the part I don't like about Medicare is the Obamacare. I'm not sure what that means. I mean, there was Medicare expansion under Obamacare, or excuse me, Medicaid expansion under Obamacare, but not every state accepted that. Only some of them did. And that just covered more people with health care, and it was one of the best parts of Obamacare, along with the pre-existing conditions protection. So I don't know what that means when she says the part I don't like about Medicare is the Obamacare. Then that same woman later on went on to speak about how, oh yeah, we got to weed out these mentally handicapped people and disabled people, and there are a lot of liars out there getting health care who are just being paid to go to school. What? I don't know what the fuck she's talking about. There is no epidemic of like, there you go to get another colonoscopy, taking advantage of our healthcare system. What the fuck are you babbling about? But I do sense, and maybe this is unfair of me, and I know some people will disagree here, but this is the sense I get. I get the sense that she's like, those minorities taking advantage of the system. Now, maybe that's unfair of me, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, and maybe she didn't particularly have in mind minorities. But I just got that sense from her that she's like, there are people who do all the work, and then there are people who game the system, you know what I'm saying? That's the sense I got. And then it's funny because even after saying all that, when Emma Vigeland was like, okay, but so you would rather support like a Medicare for all type system, she was like, yes. Wait, what? You were just ranting about how that's all a bad idea, and then when Emma just says it one more time, you're like, yeah, no, I do support it. Then we get the person who was talking about the senators' plans. He's like, the senators have a cheaper plan with cost controls, and everybody gets covered. And then he goes on to say, we need to have private care for everything. Get rid of the lines around the states. That was Trump's thing. Get rid of the lines. He said that half the time during the primary. But wait, if you're talking about how everybody should have a plan like the senators, then you're in favor of a government healthcare system. You're in favor of Medicare for all. If you think everybody should have like the senators have. But he says that, and then he goes on to say, that's why we need to do private care. We have private care right now, and it's a fucking mess. And then he went on to say, Obamacare is the work of the devil. That's okay, so that's the one guy who's just kind of hopeless. But the rest of them, like the guy who starts out by saying, okay, Medicare for all, but not illegals. That's the standard, Republican. What that guy needs to understand, and he doesn't know this yet, but there is hope for him. He's not totally gone. What he doesn't understand is you have more in common with the illegal, the undocumented immigrant, than you ever will with the elitist top 1% asshole who's been screwing you over for decades. The top 1%, the billionaires and the corporations, they rig the rules against you and the illegal, and the undocumented immigrant. They rig the rules against you and then pit you against each other. It's divide and conquer. They want you to focus on the undocumented immigrant so that they can run out the back door with all the money and keep rigging the system in their own favor and against you. So, but then notice, even given the fact he's not fully there yet, but he's getting there, by the end of it, when Emma was like, okay, so you want Medicare for all tax-paying Americans, he was like, yeah, that's a good idea, and I can't afford health care. Again, see, that's the thing. Trump had that opportunity. If he really wanted to put a middle finger up to the establishment and do the bidding of the people, he could have done it, because that base was never going to leave him, and then he would have co-opted Democratic base support. But he didn't do it. And Donald Trump is the establishment's cuck. He's doing the bidding of the neocons. He's doing the bidding of the deep state. He's doing the bidding of the establishment and the elitists. And it's sad because you get the sense that the majority of the people at that Trump rally could have been convinced to support Medicare for all. And this speaks to the truth of the polls also, by the way, because 70% of Americans say they support Medicare for all, now including a majority of Republicans. You want to know why? Because populism wins. Populism wins among the people in both parties. Populism is the answer.